Ever played a game and saw all of these horrible jagged lines all over the place and wanted to turn on anti-aliasing but don't know which one to use? Well then, listen up. Anti-aliasing is a process used in graphics to smooth edges of objects. Think of when you're playing a game and you have a power line or a fence or a roof line. You see it looking really jagged and ugly. You can see all the pixels surrounding the edge line of these objects. Anti-aliasing tries to eliminate all of this. Now there are quite a few different types of anti-aliasing. Some increase the sample rate and use more resources and computing power, and some use less resources but simply blur the edges to make it appear smooth. Versions of anti-aliasing that increase the sample rate are FSAA, which is full screen anti-aliasing, SSAA, which is super sampling anti-aliasing. These two are the best forms of AA, as FSAA allows anti-aliasing of the whole screen. SSAA is essentially downsampling from a higher resolution to get a picture that is far more crisp than your normal picture. MSAA, or multi-sampling AA, detects the edges of polygons and increases the sampling rate on those areas only. This drastically improves performance as your computer doesn't have to increase the sampling rate for the entire image. This gives you great results with a much smaller performance hit. EQAA, or Enhanced Quality Anti-Aliasing, and CSAA, Coverage Sampling Anti-Aliasing, try to improve on MSAA in a much more complicated way, which is too much to explain in this video. Now on to the blurring versions of anti-aliasing. MLAA, or Morphological Anti-Aliasing, and FXAA, Fast Approximate Anti-Aliasing, are post-processed anti-aliasing modes that blur the edges of polygons and textures. It detects the contrast between edges of objects and blurs the gradient between them. This is a far less taxing type of anti-aliasing, but it causes textures and edges to appear, well, blurry. SMAA, or Enhanced Subpixel Morphological Anti-Aliasing, is an efficient GPU-based version of MLAA that allows for a less resource-hungry process but still blurs your textures and edges. If you want a great-looking gaming experience, I recommend using a mixture of SMAA from your GPU's global settings with MSAA in the game settings. TXAA, or Temporal AA, was developed by NVIDIA. It is a film-style anti-aliasing that reduces temporal aliasing. Temporal aliasing is the flickering you see on edges of polygons and textures within games. TXAA is a mix of temporal filters, standard anti-aliasing, and CG movie-style anti-aliasing. From my experience, it does blur edges and textures more than MLAA and FXAA, and it varied so much between these titles that it really seems to be useless. Keep in mind that most of these types of anti-aliasing have multiple levels within the games you play. You can choose 2x, 4x, 8x, and so on. The level you choose varies greatly on your hardware. You will need to play around with these settings to see which one is a perfect blend of anti-aliasing while minimizing the performance hit on your computer. This was a TekBlitz on anti-aliasing. I hope that it makes a little more sense to you now, and this helps you choose which anti-aliasing is best for you. Thanks for watching, and happy gaming.